But to our first speaker today, Axel von Meidel, Morgan Studios. I welcome him on stage. So Axel's gonna tell us how he enabled his company in the past 5 years, since he signed a licensing deal with Playmobil, to do a big step into a different direction, because his company actually focused on games purely, mostly, when he founded his company in 2003 in Berlin. But I will let Axel tell himself how he made toys become TV stars. Thank you, Axel.
Okay, thank you very much, Lilian, for the nice introduction, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here. My name is Axel von Meidel, and it's tough to enter the stage with slim-fit jeans, as I just saw. But I want to talk about the latest project of Morgan Studios. It's Super 4. It's called Super 4 Playmobil, and it's a TV show. But before I start, I would like to give you a brief idea what Morgan Studios is. Morgan Studios used to develop computer games, interactive computer games. We did that for at least 15 years, something like that. We founded Morgan Studios in 2003, but we did that before too. And we have a track record of 200-something computer games. So this is where we come from, and this is where we met Playmobil. So 10 years ago, we started working for Playmobil. And we did games for them on all platforms. And it was really lots of fun to pick up this brand and to animate those figures. Because when we started working with Playmobil, they weren't really able to scratch their head, the figurines, because they are a little bit, let's say, stiff. So presenting digital adventures with figurines like Playmobil is not quite easy. So we were the first to animate them and to move them. And we always thought, when we did that it would be just awesome to have a TV show connected to Playmobil, because there are so many kids playing with Playmobil, and we thought, wow, it must be so great to develop a TV show and to present something on TV for those kids and for their parents. They should love it. The reason for that is that when we developed those computer games, we had little so-called cutscenes, animated sequences that we used to introduce a game or to do trailers. And I want to show you two really short clips. They must be something like 8 or 9 years old, that inspired us to pick up the brand Playmobil to produce a TV series. Can you lower the noise? As you can see, we are very close to the brand here, and the figurines really look as they do in the store. And this is an introduction to a computer game, so it's not meant to be TV or something like that, but we liked it so much. I'll show you another example. That we decided to take all those cutscenes and try to acquire the TV rights from Playmobil to do a TV show on it. International dubbing already. All right. So this was the beginning, and when we picked up the license to do a TV show for Playmobil, we thought this is the greatest deal we ever did. I remember Joe Darris being in our office, it's like 4 or 5 years ago, I guess, and we talked about co-producing with Studio 100 about this. Because the reason is, when you pick up a brand like Playmobil, there are two effects. One is, wow, Playmobil, and everybody thinks it must be so easy to finance a TV show that is connected to Playmobil. And the second is, ooh, Playmobil, because it is a commercial brand, and broadcasters consider Playmobil as being, if you have a Playmobil TV show, they consider this as being a commercial for them. so they won't pay a dime of license fee to finance the show. There are some competitors in the market that have a totally different business model. They pay for the show and they find a deal with the broadcaster to broadcast it. And we didn't know at that time when we picked up this brand. We thought it's just great to have it, and it's going to be a huge hard blood project to develop a TV show. So we realized that it will never be financed out of the German market, no chance. And we realized too that if we want to finance it, it has to be very, very innovative. It has to have a totally different look, and it has to be at the most inspired by Playmobil. So we tried financing this project. We really checked almost every country, and searching for co-production partners, we found Method Animation in Paris with Aton Soumache, a great guy. And we were able to arrange a co-production with Method, and we also picked up a Canadian studio in Vancouver to do the production. So this was the first step on the way of financing this project. But even then, we were totally aware that if we want to sell the show as a content show, we really have to have the biggest and most expensive and detailed and deepest and nicest TV show in the world, so that broadcasters believe us that this is true a content show. So the first thing we did was that we asked ourselves, what is Playmobil all about? Why do kids play with Playmobil? Why is it considered to be a great toy? What do kids think when they play with it? So we dove really deep into the brand, and we had an 80-page survey on the brand, which there was a lot of new information even for Playmobil in it. And we understood that we filmed kids playing with Playmobil figurines, and we saw that when they were a police officer or a fairy or a knight, they were absolutely in it. They were deep in it. It's a role-playing toy, so they were the knight and they were the fairy. So they were very serious about it, but they had fun playing with it. So we called this show as a slogan, "Serious Fun." Which describes the brand quite well. And after that, we had a bunch of creative designers, and we took away the PCs, and we took away also the Apple devices, and we took away the Playmobil toys and the catalogs, and we forced them to do drawings with Copics and with watercolors, and just to draw what they thought when they played Playmobil when they were young. This was a really great experience, and they came up with drawings like that. And as you can see, it seems to be a thief riding on a dinosaur, a girl with black hair in a convertible. Then you have skyscrapers in the back and a medieval setting. So everything is possible with Playmobil as a brand without being Playmobil. So there are a lot of action-driven scenes and fairies, of course, and dark castles and strange situations with, I don't know, dragons and figures, dark forests, treasures, all that. So we forced in detail, a lot of details, of course, also. So they came up with paintings that did not have to do a lot with Playmobil at all. It was more emotions, feelings, pictures in their heads that they drew. But this showed us very clearly that this is the way to pitch this brand and to pitch this show. It's not about the toy. It's about the world that Playmobil represents. And we thought that we have something in hand that is quite unique. Beside all the brand values of Playmobil, we have the possibility of, here you see the knight or the prince is running to the castle, but if you change that into an agent running to the castle, it's a totally different story. So for us was the clue mixing worlds. So we have agents side by fairies or pirates or knights, and we do not need a time machine, or we need no magician or no nothing. This is a really interesting cultural project, because you have different cultures side by side. So we started into developing this, having a pirate girl on a jet ski and a fairy on a jet ski, having the pirate girl with a map, and then the agent with a cool GPS device. So we dove into this combination of worlds, which is something like a cultural management. And we decided to develop 4 different worlds to tell the story of our TV show. So the first is Kingsland, and Kingsland is as medieval as it can be. As you see, this is our visualization of what kids think when they play with a Playmobil castle. We designed houses that had nothing to do with any product catalog or any toy line or whatever. We just dove into it, and we created the first hero of our Super 4 team, which is Prince Alex. He's the male driver, his dad. I mean, here you realize it's Playmobil, it's their hands. I mean, they tell the story, of course. It's a little bit the face. But we really tried to carry it as far as possible. So we came up with figurines or with creatures that never have been designed by any Playmobil designer. And next is Enchanted Island. This is more a Harry Potter world. And again, we really put a lot of effort into the artwork. And no CGI so far. And we designed this world, a little pink line, but not too pink. It's more with witches and orcs. And we have the little sister in the team. It's the fairy Twinkle coming from Enchanted Island. At this point, we started Technopolis, and it's a high-tech world. And we designed a complete new world. It had nothing with hologram trees. It has nothing to do with Playmobil whatsoever. And Agent Jean is coming from Technopolis. He invents all the little gadgets you need and to survive in adventure worlds. And last not least, Gunpowder Island. Pirates, they hate girls. They hate pink. They want to steal treasures and hide them all day long. So this is what their thinking is all about. And looking at those houses, again, you see they look more like furniture, like trees, than they do like Playmobil houses. Because when we did the survey on the brand, we saw that the kids use furniture to build up their worlds and to play with Playmobil. So we tried to go more into that direction than into a toy line. This is Pirate Ruby, the last hero of our Super 4. This is the design we needed one more island to come up with whatever we needed to tell a story. For example, if we needed a huge frog, here it was, or a dinosaur, or a King Kong, or whatever, it's from Lost World. And so we were all set. The Super 4, they live in a car. It's called Chameleon. This is their home base. This is where they get the mission, and they fly with this chameleon right into the action. Yeah, those are the screenshots of the final show, and as you can see, we put a lot of effort into the design and into the look of the show, just to carry it, to give it a very own impression and a very own design. Agent Jean thought he can rescue a little kitten, did not work. This is Gunpowder Island. And those are screenshots out of the show as we have it now. This is a security device that shows very good the aspect of serious fun, because it's an obviously very stupid security device. It's very dangerous, but nobody knows what it actually does. So this is the design. Last not least, we have our heroes. That's it. Okay, those are some trailers to show you a little more sound, please.
Ils viennent des 4 coins de ton imagination. Et ensemble, ils sont... super forts!
Pour défendre mon château, je ne peux compter que sur vous!
Je suis un redoutable pirate, je n'ai peur de rien.
Nous ne sommes pas là pour nous couvrir de gloire, mais pour combattre l'injustice. Super fort, les aventuriers les plus courageux de tous les univers. Samedi 2 août dans Ludo, sur France 3.
Welcome to Super 4 Destinations with 4 super deals. We have the peace and tranquility of Gunpowder Island, a getaway fit for a king at Kenrick's Castle, a relaxing cruise on Captain Sharkbeard's ship, or a high-tech trip to Technopolis. You will have a super time. Brand new Super 4 After School at 4 on CITV.
Montag bis Freitag.
Tja, wir wären soweit.
Dann auf zu neuen Abenteuern. Die 4 Freunde Alex, Jean, Ruby und Twinkle nehmen es wieder auf mit ziemlich ungemütlichen Typen.
Ihr sitzt in der Falle.
Immer an ihrer Seite ihr treuer Begleiter Alien. Ein bisschen schreckhaft, aber sonst echt ein cooler Typ.
Upsi.
Super 4, Montag bis Freitag, 17:35 Uhr im Disney Channel.
All right. This is the story of Super 4, inspired by Playmobil. And for us, as being a computer developer from origin, it seemed to be a very good idea to pick up the Playmobil brand. After this journey, 3 years of development, of trying to finance the show and of really producing it, I know how tough it is to be part of the TV business, even on a worldwide scale. It's hard to finance a high-quality show as this one. We were able to do it, and I would do it again, but it was a tough fight, and I'm not sure if the computer business is better. It's a very unique story of combination in terms of cross-media, because we really gave up producing computer games, and we're doing TV shows now, which is quite a change in the other direction. Usually it's the other way around. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Axel. And that was actually what our day is about. It's about enabling yourself to take on all the challenges. Axel, I think he made a wonderful presentation showing us where all the downhills were and the struggles and how he came out of it, and what the real challenge was, the content. So I'm very, very happy, because that's enabling. That's really enabling a company coming from a games focus into a TV production or film production producing company. Well done. Thanks, Axel. Now we have a different topic, which has to do with game and film and rights and all kinds of things. And it's Steffen Kottkamp who's going to tell us today about content to writer. Welcome him on stage. Steffen, I don't know, this is not working, okay.
Okay. Any mic will work,
okay.
I think.
It does work, yes. Most of you will know Steffen, I think, from his former position at the German broadcaster Kika. He was managing director there, and he's now creative head and creative director of MAG Media. And MAG Media is the creative mastermind company behind Europa Park, which is a theme park located in Rust. Is that correct? Rust? Is it a little weird if you say Rust?
We say Rust.
We say Rust, yeah. In Rust, which is actually in Baden-Württemberg. And it's celebrating its 40th anniversary. And I think you can tell us a lot about all the completely exciting adventures that you're right now tackling, going into, and about the future of animation and the future of games and technology and new ways of theme parking.
Maybe.
Yeah,
so
go ahead.
Let's try. So hello everybody, thank you for having me here. And first of all, my presentation crashed 1 hour ago, so unfortunately you are not allowed to see all the slides with the fill information. You only see the raw data, so the really important things I will show you, because this is what I rescued in the last hour. And first of all, I want to tell you why I'm here, because as you already heard, I come from a company called the Europa Park, which is a theme park. They were awarded last year for the most beautiful theme park in the world, which is a really beautiful award. And they founded a company 3 or 4 years ago called the Mack Media, because it's a family-driven company, and the family is called Mack, so they say Mack Media, because they had to make a very important decision. The theme park works very well, and they want to develop and to grow again. And so they had to decide, what were we going to do? Will we open a new theme park? And then they decided, no, we can't, because we are a family-driven company, and if we open a new park, we can't be there in this new park, and it never will be the same as our Europa Park near Freiburg, at the border of Switzerland and France, 1.5 hours from here. It's beautiful, you have to go there. And so they decided, no, there has to be another chance for us to develop. And they thought, okay, maybe it's possible to give the feeling people have when they come to theme park, when they do roller coaster riding or playing and staying a whole day or 2 days there. Maybe it's possible to give that feeling for the people at home. And so they started to call me and say, oh, come on, you are somehow from the media. We think digital content will be the solution for this problem. Maybe it will work out. So that's how we came together. And what I want to show you is how we try to do this, how we do content to write. Because you know, very famous company. It's already we already heard the name. Who did it the other way around? Very successful, to be honest. It's Disney. They do content, and afterwards they put the content into a theme park, and we do it the other way around. And I will show you if it works, how it works, and why we are able to do this without having any TV channel, for example, because we are dealing with the same things we already heard by Axel a few minutes ago. Because when I come to different broadcasters, even to the broadcaster myself worked for a couple of years, they say, oh, come on, no, it's a question of product placement. If you are the Europa Park, we won't show a show made by you. So it's okay, so this is the law. And so we had to decide, okay, what's going on, how can we do this? Now you will see some of bad clicking because of the crushed thing. So this is how it all starts. It was 1975, 40 years ago, and this creature is called the Euromaus, and it was the first character for this theme park. And so this was what I found when I came there, and the opportunity to have a little time, to have a little money, and to develop all these into stuff you will see. And I think we now, today, technically, we got it very far. So let's see how it went on. So this is another impression from 1975. This is Euromaus and Friends. Because we still have a lot of walking acts in our theme park. And the first thing I did was reducing 70 characters. We still have 70 characters in the theme park, and making 70 characters. Okay, no, let's see this later. Just a second. Okay, we reduced our characters, so maybe you want to see this again just for a second. We started to reduce the characters. Out of the 70 characters, we made 5, and I had the great opportunity to have a really supporter, one of the owner of the theme park. It's Michael Mack, the son of the granddaddy of this theme park, because he's the supporter for all this stuff we did. So we reduced all the characters to 5 characters. It's Euromaus, Euromausi, Eurofant, Louis, and Berkeley. You will see who these 5 guys are and why we think we are able to tell stories with them. So we started to make 3D characters out of them, and if you have 3D characters, you recognize, if you go through a theme park, you see they have 4D cinemas. So my first question was, sorry, what's the 4 in 4D cinemas? And they told me, okay, you have 3D stereoscopic movies, and also the seats are waving and it's raining in the cinema. This is the 4th dimension. So we decided not to license any movies anymore for our 4D cinema, but producing our own movies. And we started to investigate if our audience will like it. So we showed our first trailer. Maybe you make a little more sound out of it. Whoosh. I think you should hear something, but you don't. I don't know why. Okay, that's what always happens if you are very proud of something. Once again. Okay. Just a second, please give me a second, because we have so much more movies to show that I really want to make something.
Playing it from VLC player, not QuickTime.
Okay, maybe it works out now. Let's see. So just a second. Thank you for. Okay, I love these situations. Okay, one more try, and then we have it without. Okay. Okay, it should work out now. So this was our trailer for the first 4D movie we did. So this is the character you already saw. It looked a little different, 1975. So this is the Euromouse today.
Kamera und Action! Oh nein, Böckli!
Nichts passiert!
Upsa, wer hat euch denn hier reingelassen? Bitte vergesst einfach, was ihr gesehen habt. Nicht weitersagen. Es soll ja eine Überraschung sein. Ich kann so nicht arbeiten.
Ab Frühjahr 2015. Der neue 4D-Film mit Euromaus und seinen Freunden. Nur im Magic Cinema.
Okay, so now we had tune with it. So then something very strange and very important for us happened, because we did this movie. We invested a lot of money to have it in a real good quality. You will see something about and from this movie. We did it with a very renowned animation studio in Germany, the Ambient Studio in Hanover, and because we are the producers and they are the studio, they did it, but we had full control and the full rights. And then we tried to sell our film on the international market of 4D movies all over the world, and it worked out. So there's a market for 4D movies. And not only for 4D movies, but for a lot of projection-orientated things you use in theme parks. If someone of you ever has been to Orlando or places like this where a lot of theme parks are, you can see the newest rides of Harry Potter, of Transformers, of Spider-Man, or whatever are made with projections. This is the main thing you need to have to do any ride and any projection, and we did. So now we had the trailer, and I show you something out of the movie as well.
Meister Mack, hier hat alles begonnen. Hier hat er seine erste Achterbahn entworfen.
Das finde ich besser. Nicht so gefährlich.
Hey, schaut mal hier! Oh la la. Ob das noch fährt?
Probieren wir es aus.
An old magical carousel that transports our friends into a fantastic adventure through space and time.
Schön, dass ihr in meine Falle getappt seid.
The new 4D adventure of Euromouse and his friends, only at Europa Park Magic Cinema.
Okay, only there is only true for Germany, because the movie is shown in over 20 countries right now, and that's why we think, okay, it is worth to produce movies like this, because you can do the whole range of things from the first moment on. Because to be honest, it's very positive to have our own theme park, because we create from the first moment on our own merchandise and all this stuff. So we have a lot of possibilities to refinance movies like this, and that's why we go on. And from the first moment on, we try to do as the highest quality possible for these 3D movies, because it's more easy to do all the things you want to do with these characters or with these stories if you have at the first moment high quality. Because the next step was to have some to have an audio book with it, to have real print books with it, and also we have in our theme park, of course, cups and hats and stuff like this for sure. But the digital content is what it's really all about, because this is what crosses the border of the theme park and goes outside and can be sold here. So let's see what my raw data gives you for the next thing. The next thing we did was we programmed a game for it, and this game will be released on the 12th of July. This is the 40th anniversary of the theme park or Europa Park, and see how this works out.
Sometimes when you fall, the only way up is to work together. Unravel the mystery and defeat the Night Grabber. Mystery Maze of Balthazar Castle.
So I think a lot of you are very familiar to these 360-degree merchandising and try to have a digital content and a digital product and doing a lot of things out of it. But we do something more, because we try to find out what is our really unique point, the merging of having a theme park and creating digital content. So we did some very exhausting, to be honest, very exhausting research. So what can we do? And we try to find out something about the virtual reality glasses, the Oculus Rift or some other glasses that work like this. And we try to combine a roller coaster and digital content. And now I can give you a little look what comes out if you try to do this.
falsch gemacht, weil es so präzise synchronisiert war mit dem Flugzeug. Aber es war halt wirklich genau synchron. Saugut. Saugut. Also, perfekt. Spitze. Super gut. Das ist so synchron. Das ist nicht der Hass. Das ist der Wahnsinn.
Okay, these two guys, they invented what you saw. So, so what did we do? We oh no, no one wants to see this. Just a second. Whoosh, whoosh. Okay, so you see, we used the same characters that we did before. So, okay, and we invented a patent that combines a roller coaster wagon with a Oculus Rift or with a VR glasses. So the VR glasses know where the roller coaster is, and that's why we with an ordinary game engine we can program like a game a parkour through a roller coaster. And now something very special happens. What you saw is the two guys and some other practicants and people like this. They drove what we call a kiddie coaster. It's just a little train that goes around very fast, and sometimes it goes a little bit like this, and sometimes it goes a little bit like this, and sometimes it goes a little bit in the curve. But what we can do with the VR glasses is, if it goes like this, we can program it to go like this. So we tried out making parkours where really heavy men and really roller coaster fans try to drive with this kiddie coaster, and they say, okay, it's a kiddie coaster. I didn't go for it for the last 20 years because it's a kiddie coaster. And when they came out, they said, okay, send me to Guantanamo. It's better than this because you can create it very, very heavily. So that's not what we did, but then we made experiences. Okay, is this a model to make a business out of it? Because we thought it's not very hard to program things into these glasses and to have a ride in the glasses. So we tried out what happens if you do this with people sitting on a chair, not going in a roller coaster. And they did it, and I think you can imagine what happens. You will get sick. Because the gap between what your eyes see and what your body feels is so big, and please don't believe anyone who says it is different. It's not. We tested it. We tested it medically. We tested it with a lot of people. It really is. If you do something like this, if you do fast motion in fast virtual motions, and you sit on a chair, then you will get sick. You need to have a roller coaster. And then it's really a very great experience. I will show you one more thing before I explain a little bit what we are doing and why we believe in a model like this. Just have a look at what happens to some more people who go with this ride. So it's amazing what I have to do during the presentation. So just a second. Okay, these are the two inventors again. We founded a new company for this.
Genial.
But it is not
It's the biggest development in ride feeling that we ever had. And
That's a new dimension.
very great. Yeah.
Der absolute Wahnsinn. Oh. Großartig.
So if you have a roller coaster at home or in your garden, so you can upgrade your roller coaster. With a new company, we found it no. But to be honest, you saw I think you see what potential is in this, because you can create endless variety and an endless range of content, of stories, of different rides, and we have a little more advantage. We have a queuing management as well, because if we have an app like this, what this advertisement was about, then you see what the future will bring. You can choose what kind of ride you will have when you sit down in the roller coaster and you wear the glasses and you see, okay, I decide I want to have some Star Wars thing, I want to have Greek mythology, or I want to have something about the Euromouse, what you saw before. So that's the things we are doing, and it goes on and on and on and on. And I didn't expect, when I started working for this company, for the Mac Media, that I will have contact with Disney as well, because they are very keen on this technology, and they want to see more. And the reason why I am here, why we are here, is just to give a little spot into this scene, to all you experts, that you can see, okay, there's something more than having games or doing TV shows or making cinema. Okay, there is a really big market that needs a lot of content. So I'm very proud to present in a rudimentary way. I present the things we now do, because it opens a whole new world for who all needs some content and what can you do with it. And okay, I'm very proud that you listened, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Questions from the audience? We don't have a lot of time, but one or two questions we can put in. Yes, Inga.
What game engine is it based on?
Oh, it's a kind of Ubisoft game engine. We did this, but it depends. You can use any.
One more question in the background.
Okay, now the technical questions.
No, I was trying not to get technical. Can you tell me? Can you tell us approximately what budget you had to put together the VR for the ride?
Which one do you mean altogether?
For an individual ride.
For an individual ride, it's not. It really is not very expensive, because if you already have the characters and if you have the world, it's not very expensive to program the rides. It's less than 100,000 to do a thing like this if you have the characters already.
Yeah, I was talking really about the animation that you created, the world that you created to ride through.
Okay, this was a bit more. We had an investment about €1, so no, I'm not able to talk exactly what we spent, but we can talk together later.
Okay, thank you.
So, but it was not that much. It was the thing you saw, the 4D movie. It's we produced it exactly the way everyone does some animated feature films. There's no secret behind it. So we also have the costs. It costs to make a 15 minutes film and to develop the characters. So, but the reinvest comes faster if you do stuff like this, like we did it.
Okay, thank you, Stefan. That was really embracing the future, and I think we got a really, really nice insight into the possibilities and the challenges and the dangers. Thank you for the health warning, by the way, and the dangers of technology. Now I want to welcome a Danish guest, our international guest, Christian Fonsbæk. Yes. Well, he's arranging himself. Christian is the director of Investigate North, and Investigate North is a company located in the beautiful city of Copenhagen, Denmark. And he is here to tell you something about immersive games, about something, games that we haven't seen much about so far. Christian has a background of 35 professional games, not 35 years, but 35 professional games. Sorry about that. Not years, no, not years. And he's also the director of Cloud Chamber, a game that I think he's going to tell you a little bit about today as well. Okay,
thank you very much. Do we have the... Is it very low? Or? Okay. Thank you very much. My name is Christian Fonsbæk. I'm going to talk a little bit about a new way of telling stories that is basically built on the way the internet works. And I've been a man with a mission since about 2000. When I was at school, at university, and I was writing a paper on the history of stories and technologies. And I realized something that today is banal, but back in 1999, 2000, this was new. And the realization was that every time technology changes society, it also changes the stories. But it takes some years before the storytellers are ready to understand the new technology. It takes some years before the market is ready. And I was at the time studying film, and I had made a number of short films. And I suddenly realized that film was the last storytelling technology. Because society had changed again, everything we do is now based on networked computers. We work on network computers, we find our lovers, our husbands, our wives through network computers, we maintain our families through Facebook, we do everything through network computers. And just like when we did everything through industrial technology, we used industrial technologies to tell stories. That is what a movie is. It's chemistry, electronics, and micromechanics. So film is over, sorry. I realized this in 2001, and I watch more movies than I play games. Movies are never going to end, don't worry. But as a storyteller, I just find it interesting to find out what's next. That's what I'm interested in. How do we get to tell stories in the same way that people experience news and families and all these things? So I basically went out and looked for customers. And by the time I got to 2006, 2007, I'd done 35 projects for different customers, and I'd learned a little. And the last project we did, we launched in August on Steam, which is called Cloud Chamber. I'll go into it a little bit. And we won a bunch of prizes, and we're very proud of it, especially because we won the British Game Industry Award for Best Social Game. And the reason that prize is important is it's the first time we had a label for what we're making. What we're making is a social game. And I'm going to show you the launch trailer. And this trailer is going to confuse you. And there's a reason for that. And I'll tell you what it is afterwards.
We don't know what this we found.
Carefully. Toward the end of the space race. The document you're about to make is unauthorized anymore. You got herself killed. Don't follow in her footsteps. Follow in mine. Wow.
We trap sound here that comes from the birthplace of the universe.
So Cloud Chamber is a game that you buy for $20, and then you download it to your computer, and you go into it, and you are basically piecing together a story with the other players in there. And the reason we market it in a confusing way is because we're targeting innovators. We're really targeting people who are looking for something new. And unfortunately, we'd love to target the early majority, which is a much, 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 much bigger audience. We'd love to target the mainstream, but the mainstream is not ready. The mainstream does not pick up new things. The mainstream has to be taught to pick up new things, and they will not trust new things until they've seen somebody else do it. It's probably different for roller coasters, but where we are, where you have to buy a download, that is the lesson. New kinds of content work in just the same way that new kinds of technology work, and that means people have to be taught to use them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say a little bit about how we discovered this innovation, then I'm going to talk about how we found our first audience, and then how we're going to build the next one. So going out there every day for 5 or 6 years, I felt a lot of companionship with you. Selling these projects was actually a very good learning experience, because basically we were exploring what worked on the internet and how could we tell stories by mixing film, game, and social media. And around project number 25 or 27, we made a discovery, and it really was like we found something on the beach. We basically discovered that if we took short, mysterious film clips and we allowed people to discuss them, so that the film clips were not telling the whole story, there was something missing, and then we let people get points for making good theories about what was going on, then suddenly we had a new kind of story that basically built on the way the internet worked. Because that's what the internet does. It connects us, it allows us to discuss things, it allows us to help each other. It also makes everybody into detectives. So just think about what happened with the Malaysian Flight 370, where everybody's discussing and linking and showing each other things. And the way we actually found out about that story is through little fragments from many different sources. So when we made the first one of these, it was actually a human resource project for a telco. So there were 13,000 employees, and we pretended that the customers were being kidnapped. So for 3 weeks, they would go on the intranet, and it was obviously fiction. They would discuss what's going on, why are the customers disappearing, and it was because the 5 corporate values had gone astray. So only by solving the mystery of the corporate values could they actually solve the mystery and win prizes. The year after, we made something a little bit similar when the Danish government took a warship in real life and made it like a research ship, and it sailed around the world for 8 months. And we basically built a community where we pretended we had a man on board. We did not have a man on board, but daily he would upload his video diaries and he would chat with the users. He quickly discovered that there was a madman in the bottom of the ship who was building a doomsday device and who was going to blow up the entire world. But the crew thought it was him, so he couldn't talk to anybody except the kids in the community. So our writers would pretend they were him, and they would sit and chat with the kids and say, what am I going to do? They're throwing my food on the floor, and there's a madman building a bomb in the basement, and we have to do something. And it was actually a recruitment campaign for the electrical engineering study, so they had to learn about electricity and magnetism and stuff. And we had thousands of kids who basically spent hundreds of hours learning about electricity. So we did the same thing again for the COP15 climate summit in 2009. And we had 10 different sponsors, and I went around and sold them all while I was directing the damn thing in my car. And if you're going to do this, don't. 10 different sponsors on the same project. I don't know if you've tried that, but it's hell on wheels. It's terrible. But it did work, and it was a great success. It was out in a number of countries, so we had teaching curricula and so on. At that point, the Danish Film Institute enters the story, because I was talking to a consultant, and what he said to me is basically, well, what you're doing is interesting to us because you've taken film, it's still film, it's filmed, but you've put it in a new context. You've made it into something to be discussed and networked around instead of just something to receive. Would you like to do one with us? And I said, yeah, that sounds great. What should it be about? And they said, that's up to you. You're an artist, aren't you? And I'm like, oh yeah, shit. That was why I got into this. I want to tell stories, but I gotten kind of confused. And at the same time, there was a financial crisis. So actually, the customers had completely stopped ordering. So I think, let's do one for the Danish Film Institute. So the last 4 years, I've been making Cloud Chamber. The only reason, or one of the 99 only reasons it happened, is that I made a call to this lady, Vibeke Windeløw, who's produced 30 feature films and many of Lars von Trier's greatest films and so on. And I called her, I didn't know her at all. I said, would you like to produce an internet mystery? And she said, no, I would not. I make films, this is not a film. But I'd sold 35 projects, so I knew how to pitch. And I probably pitched 3,000 times in order to do that. So I had prepared a speech, and the speech went like this. Dear Vibeke, I know you've been the prime mover in the Danish film fairy tale for the last 20 years, but you do know it's over, don't you? Yeah, that was her reaction too. But that got me to coffee, and 6 months later we were working together. So it worked. 2 years later, thank you. Yeah, sometimes you just have to be cheeky. It was not a very Danish thing to do, I have to say. 2 years later, she brought in her friend Ole Sundberg, who has produced all the Stieg Larsson films and the Wallander films and so on. And he's now an investor in the company. And what we all made together was Cloud Chamber. And we have a Game of Thrones king in there. We have a James Bond villain, Midsummer Murder, the assistant. And we even have the entire universe courtesy of the European Space Agency. So what is this damn thing? So Cloud Chamber works like this. You go on Steam, which is like an app store for PC games, and you type in your code and you download it. And it installs in your computer, and you start a new user. And it starts off by showing you a short animation. And what the animation basically says is that you are now entering a fictional database. So the whole game takes place inside a 3D WikiLeaks. And basically the system, as you can see here, is taking media files, film clips, emails, diary pages, and it's making them into a data landscape. And you can navigate that landscape and discuss the files. So what we're basically doing is, the higher the mountain, the more important the file. So this is a film file right here. We're coming closer to it. There's another film file behind it with the girl's face on. And if I open it, it opens up like a console. And I can watch the film, I can full screen it, I can turn on subtitles, and I can discuss it. And that's the game. The game is, you found 150 media files left behind by these people. It's your job to figure out what happened. So I'm not going to show the whole clip because we're on a timer here, but basically, don't turn down the lights, it doesn't matter. Basically, it's found footage, so it's like the Blair Witch Project. It very much pretends that it's true. And this is a very clear decision because we wanted people to role play that it was actually happening. And the characters have their own cameras, and they've uploaded. It's the characters who have uploaded. A lot has been done to convince people that it's worth suspending disbelief. We don't tell anybody it's fiction. We have film stars in there. You pay for it. But the gameplay is about discussion. So the kind of skills that people have developed on Facebook and on Twitter and so on, we're now getting them to apply to a narrative experience. And basically the films ask many more questions than they give answers. And they're very incomplete. So we have a large number of storylines. I think we have 18 different storylines in different time layers. And we've broken the chronology and we've reorchestrated it. So that when you go through as a player, this is level 1, seen from above. As you see, the first, you fly in from below. There's one media file, then you can choose to go there, there, or there. That's 3 more media files, and then part 2. Level 2 has 10 media files. So we've basically done this thing that we've made the story into a landscape that you yourself can navigate. Now, we were funded by art money, so it was a very art house project. And the only way you can get points in here is if the other players like what you write. So what we've done is we've taken discussion and we've made that into a gameplay mechanic. The only way you can get points is if you write something interesting, funny, or clever about what's going on, and somebody else says, that was well done. And this really works for an innovation-seeking audience. It does not work with a mainstream audience, at least not yet. So the next one we're building, it will not be necessary to discuss. But the idea of a global think tank playing detectives together, I think is here to stay. We're developing the next one now. So there's 10 levels. 150 media files. Some of the media files are just photographs like this with text giving you many things to discuss. There's maps of the fictional Peterson Institute. There's character info. There's quite deep puzzles if you want to go in. But it's not an adventure game in the way that you don't have to have a puzzle answer to get on. If you're just social, you will move on. And then there's the documentary part. So of the 150 media files, I think about 30 of them are documentary files. And we've licensed these from the European Space Agency. So as you're traveling into the character's past and discovering who's lying, and did Kathleen's mother kill, or did her father kill her mother, or did the alien signal from another world kill her, you're also digesting documentary files explaining how the universe works. And when you are hearing the characters talk about subatomic particles and could there be a signal from another world inside, you're also finding documentary files explaining those subatomic particles and so on. So core players spend about 44 hours going through this, even though there's only 6 hours of film footage in there. And that's because they spend the rest of the time discussing, navigating, going to Wikipedia, finding links, and coming back. So there's a lot of nice electronic music and blah, blah, blah. So that is our innovation. And we are now building the next one. And the big lesson from the last 6 months is finding that first audience that I showed you in that curve. Because this is very serious. This is exactly how it works, if you ask me. This is my experience, that new kinds of content function in the same way as new kinds of technology. So what we did first, before the actual launch, was to do a soft launch. And this is something borrowed from the gaming industry, and borrowed from somebody who's smart enough to know that when you're really innovating, you just don't know who's going to like it. You may have an assumption, and you may have assumptions about how you will get to them and how you will market it and so on, but you just don't know. And with games today, it's a very clear strategy that you soft launch in smaller territories and you find out what works, and then you correct your marketing strategy, and then you correct your content, and then you move on. And obviously, the bigger your company, the more money you have, the longer time you can spend optimizing and changing your strategy and so on. And this is really one of the big differences between independent productions today in the games industry and studio productions, because the studio productions can spend 40,000 man-hours optimizing, and we can't. But we could do a soft launch in Denmark. And our first assumption was that this would be for innovative fans of film, so the art house film audience. We got SBS Discovery as a media partner, and we got an awful lot of coverage. We got coverage all over the world, in the transmedia, and in the Danish press, and BBC, and all over the place. But film people don't want to interact. Lesson number one. If people don't play games, they don't want to do this. They may want to in 10 years, but on the other hand, that may just be because the people who grew up with only film will all be dead in 10 years. I don't know. But it's very clear that for anybody who's not a game player, something like this is homework. Why the hell do I have to work to get a story? Just tell it to me. But to people who are used to playing games, the whole learning curve is a pleasure. So from a marketing point of view, this is a game. And we could see that even though we were getting a lot of talk from the film press and the culture press and so on, they were pretty, it's like homework. But the game, people who reviewed it, they loved it. So we suddenly started, even on our soft launch, we were getting these 8 out of 10 and so on from the game. This was the soft launch in Denmark. And the game press, even the Norwegian game press, sort of borrowed it and so on, and the players were liking. But the film people just stayed away in droves. We even had one person who wrote 61 A4 pages of notes inside the game. So it was clearly working, but it was working with gamers and not with our soft launch target, which was culturally innovative film people. So what we discovered was there's a different category of people who like our innovation. It's the progressive gamer. And that was when we went to Steam, which is this app store for PC games. There's 75 million people there. And we basically repositioned it as an innovative kind of game. And this was a successful launch. It's not a big commercial launch, it's still an art house launch, but we got I don't know if you know Metacritic, it takes all the reviews your game gets and aggregates an average score. So for a little indie game with no marketing budget, getting that is a pretty high score. And we were getting a lot of fantastic reviews, 9 out of 10s, 8 out of 10s, 10 out of 10s, and so on. And we were winning the prizes and so on. But again, we're only getting this audience. Because we could actually, as it was launching, we can plot the reviews on this curve. If your publication is serving an early majority audience, you will not score as highly because you know that your audience is not interested in new things. So a typical mainstream consumer guide review of our game is, this is interesting, but it's not been proven that it works, so don't buy it. And that's fair enough. I mean, they're going to lose viewers or readers if they push something to them that they don't like. So for us, instead of continuing to change Cloud Chamber and trying to reach a bigger audience, we're going to have to say, okay, this is an art house project. It was financed by art money. That's it. It's finished. We're going to have to make something that naturally appeals to a bigger audience, is easier to use, and gets a big marketing budget. And that is the Unpunished, which we're developing now. So can I use another 2 minutes? What do you do if you've made an innovation and you're from Copenhagen and you want to reach a bigger audience? Well, you hire the guy who wrote The Killing, of course. So what we're doing now is a Nordic noir crime thriller for iPads and phones, or tablets and phones. Just to be clear, there was no iPad when I started making Cloud Chamber. You may not remember it, but 5 years ago, we didn't have iPads. Halfway into Cloud Chamber, everybody had an iPad. It was, so this time we're going for iPads and phones, but we've learned a big lesson, and that is that by the time we're finished, VR may be big, and it's going to be your fault. So what do we do then? Well, one of the interesting things that you're really going to like is that what we've discovered with Cloud Chamber is that even if we had an unlimited budget and could keep on changing it, we would not change the film clips. We would change all the other stuff that are innovative. We would change the interface and the navigation method and the discussion method and all that, but the film clips would stay because the film clips really work. Maybe it's because we've been making them for 100 years. We know how to do that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to shoot it in a high enough resolution so that if VR has taken over in 3 years, we can flip it into VR. And we're going to design the story so it works in both ways. But we're not going to put our money on VR. We'll let other people do that. Thank you very much. We've innovated enough. So we have the storyline. It's going to happen in the north of Sweden. There's going to be northern lights. There's going to be dead bodies. There's going to be social networks. That's Nordic noir, right? So the company now does these 3 things. We're doing these social mysteries. We're doing series and film universe and online advertising. And that basically is what happened since I wrote this paper and discovered what I think is the truth, that stories are changing. And we're still working on getting it from the lab to the market, but we're nearly there. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that was German-Danish precision, I would say. We finished on the dot. I want to have a big applause for my speakers. They did a fantastic job. Great insight into the news future, the today, tomorrow, and as you say, in five years without iPads or with iPads or with the new tablet. I want to encourage you also to go and look at the FMX. There's fantastic technology presentations. You can see Oculus Rift. You can try things. You can feel a little. You can touch a little the future and the things to come.